Welcome to the Sparky Coach podcast. This platform was built by Sparkies for Sparkies. We simply exist to make business owners more profitable, or businesses more profitable and more predictable. So we want to work with people that work hard because we love working hard too, that work smart because you got to be on top of the business, people that are kind because no one likes a dickhead. Am I right? People who want results because that's what we're here for, right? And people who want to be part of a like-minded community. So if you're interested in hearing more about the platform, please reach out and enjoy the podcast. Sparky Coach Pod, Crow Doggy Dog here with Tom Doggy Dog.
Tom Doggy Dog.
It doesn't really have a ring to it at all, does it?
No, I usually call you Crow Dog.
Crow Dog, yeah. Tom Dog. What do your mates call you?
Tom.
Makes
Tom.
sense when you think about it. So exciting. Now, someone said to me the other day, never make your business name like something with your last name in it or first name. But there's so many examples of success stories with it in there. Did you cross that? I mean, you would have set Ryelec up like 15 years ago, whatever. Did that factor into your decision making, or?
Yeah, 100%. When I first actually started, I was Ryelec with an X. I think I told you that last time.
Yeah.
Which was the classic, put your last name as your business, and then but because I've got three first names, everyone thought my name was Ryan, and that was getting annoying for a while. And then I actually heard that same thing where people were like trying to separate it. But I was already Ryelec, so I just sort of condensed it to Ryelec.
Just automated it.
Just automated it, yeah.
Just hacked the mainframe and shortened some words. I love it. Yeah. Talking about automation, I always like asking you, what are you excited about at the moment in the automation space?
Yeah, the biggest thing right now for me, like personally, is we're trying to delve into a bit more sort of home cinema land. So a lot of people in the automation industry come from an audiovisual background primarily, or sometimes security, where we actually came through the back door, we'll call it, and came from the electrical world, which it seems like a lot of people are starting to do now. So audiovisual has never been it's like we're really good at it now, but it was never our main thing, and I had to learn a lot about that kind of stuff and slowly sort of add that into our offering. So multi-room audio we've pretty much nailed now. Cinema, we will do cinemas at the moment up to a certain level, but if it gets above that, then I'll get someone else involved, and I'm trying at the moment to learn a lot more about that. So I'm pretty excited about that. They can get pretty hardcore. There's a lot of science that goes into a proper cinema room.
Yeah, I mean, from the outside, it's just Sonos sub into just like soundbar. But is that conference you went to? Was that 2 weeks ago?
I just sort of went to that just for fun, but that was part of the reason I wanted to go down there and experience some of the cinema displays that were down there and have a look at a few of the products that are on offer.
What are you I mean, I know it's a full-blown science, but like, what's a couple of cool things you've learned? I guess it is about sound direction, bouncing, like hidden things. What's something cool?
There's a lot of stuff around sound reflections, and it's more actually around the room itself, opposed to the equipment that goes in the room, which is a major thing that I've learned. So, 5 or 6 years ago, I thought, you just drop a couple $100,000 on speakers. It doesn't matter about the room; it'll pump regardless. But turns out you can actually spend a couple of $100,000 on equipment and put it in the wrong room, and you might as well have not spent the money. So
when you say room, are you talking materials in the room, or furniture in the room, or size of the room, height of the room? Like, what do you mean?
All of the above. So dimensions of the room, construction of the room, what materials are used to sort of isolate the sound from inside the room to outside, and vice versa. So you obviously don't want external noise coming in, and you want to be able to pump the audio in there, but not, annoy everyone else in the house and flood the whole house with bass. So if you're doing a proper, like a real professional room, there's actually construction methods you can use that you isolate. You're essentially building a room inside of a room, and you can isolate the vibrations and the sound and all sorts of things like that. And then you've got to take into consideration when a speaker pushes audio out, it could bounce off walls, and it could actually bounce too many times and cause distortion and things like that. So trying to dampen that, but not dampening too much. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
I love it. I feel the same with the numbers. I feel like the more I know about everyone's businesses, the less I know, and I just like love the learning component of consistently getting better. I sat with someone this morning, and I know we talked about this before. I just want to highlight to anyone sort of starting out, you would look at someone 15 years down the track and think, oh, how I could never get there. But the incremental effect of doing one or two things every single week on the business, whether that's starting out doing purchase orders and then, and then linking your wholesaler to your job management system, all the way to getting an admin, all the way through to going to home automation, like taking those incremental steps along the way, home automation courses and, that kind of stuff, taking the incremental steps on the way, I think is so underrated. There's no fast path to knowledge. It's just time. A lot of it's timing game and a lot of reading and researching and love, because you love it, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I weirdly get excited about this stuff.
Yeah, that's how I feel about like spreadsheets and numbers and stuff. I just love it. It's so good. Yeah. I mean, we text each other Saturday night when I hacked the mainframe on that new spreadsheet, and I love it. Like I just if it can be better, it should be better. I think. But okay, back to that. Back to your sort of time away there. What else did you take away from that course? So what's some cool brands?
So we're looking at JBL Synthesis at the moment as one of our premium speaker brands. So that's everyone knows JBL. They make a lot of, those floor standing speakers that you see in JB Hi-Fi, but they've got this range called Synthesis, which is their high-end cinema. And then we're also looking at Crix, which is, you might have seen that in that video. It's just this big wall of speakers, essentially. And they're actually a cool company. They're an Australian company. They manufacture all of their stuff over in Adelaide. And they also sell directly to the integrator instead of through a supplier.
Cool.
So you can get a really good cinema system, but it doesn't mean you have to pay for the shipping from one country to another, because obviously they're huge, heavy boxes. And then it doesn't have to go through a supplier as well, that they have to mark up, and then we get it, and then we have to mark up. So for a pretty good price, you can get an amazing system.
And at what point is enough in terms of like, so my brother-in-law, like ARIA award winning producer, works with like Royal Otis and Skeggs and a lot of these cool bands, and his ear would pick up anything. My ear is like, I can hear it's good, but at what point does good blend into great, blend into excellent for the common person?
I reckon the common person
between 150 and 200 grand, like what are you getting for that gap,
some diehard cinema designers are probably going to disagree with this, but this is me coming in from my angle. So I feel like that the majority of people are more than happy with your sort of let's say max 100 grand cinema. And then you can obviously go above and beyond that. Some people spend $500,000. Like it just depends how crazy you want to go. But to the untrained ear or the regular person, I generally don't think. Well, you would notice it, but I don't think they're going to see the value in that difference of cost. So
and there's also budget comes into that too. The person who's got 500 grand to spend in a cinema room probably wants to spend 500 grand in the cinema room. So I think you do need those options, because I'm not saying I don't mean it's a flex in a negative way. I mean, that's like some people just want the best of everything. That's why it's so important to sell the best product, because some people walk in and be like, what's the best thing? I'll take it. And that's incredibly important. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, for sure. Like we've one house comes to mind. So we've done this really high-end home in Bellevue Hill a couple of years ago, and we had someone else do the cinema there because it was just way above our knowledge base, and I wasn't going to get them to spend 400 to 500 grand on a cinema that we couldn't deliver. And we went back there for a service about a year or so later, and I just go, "How's the cinema room going?" He's like, "Oh yeah, probably use it twice." Just like, "Matt, you literally spent $500,000 on this thing." And I was just like, "Oh yeah, cool. Should probably use it a bit more."
It's I mean, room in a house. Yeah, you would have heard me talk about the client we had. It was literally worth $1 billion. And I think it's when you're comparing the general punter spending $500,000 to them spending $500,000.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, not saying it's going down and getting a coffee, but it's probably going on an overseas holiday to Europe for 3 months. It's a big deal, but it's not that big a deal, percentage play, kind of thing. So, and then how did you've wrapped up the drawer job.
Yep.
Handover went well.
It went well. Yeah, it's kicking along. No news is good news generally, so everything must be humming along fine.
Sweet. Also on the cinema room in there, right? There
is a cinema, so we did that cinema room. Yeah.
What did you learn from doing that? Because you'd have to be involved, from what you were saying before, with materials on the room and stuff. You'd sort of have to be involved tight with the builder, which was Neil, right? And the client and the interior designer for furniture. How much are you controlling those meetings or steering them in a certain way? Or
that was a bit of a learning curve on that one. So I was more than confident to provide the solution and deliver the cinema, sound and equipment wise and video wise. But yeah, definitely get the input from the interior designer, which is obviously fair enough. That's what they're employed to do. But, working in with them, and they want one particular mesh, but we've got to make sure that the mesh is actually allows the speaker sound to come through it properly and all that kind of stuff. And getting the construction method ideas over to the builders, because it was a bit of a working with the guys on site, they're just a bit confusing of how they build the wall and all that kind of stuff. So, but on that particular cinema, we didn't really have the documentation tight. We just we had soft documentation, let's call it, but on these newer cinemas, we're getting more into the design and the documentation side of things. So we'll actually be able to give the builder a little schematic of how to build the wall and things like that. So the biggest learning curve was navigating the other people. Yeah.
I'm watching your personality type talk through this, and I just know that you've been building all this stuff back end to sort of get a lot easier. I love that about you.
Trying to iron it all out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's so good. So and then you've been posting a lot of stuff on your Instagram about we've done this board in the factory, bits and pieces, getting lots of questions. What kind of stuff are people asking you?
A lot of people are asking, how do we get into automation is the biggest one. A few people have sort of asked some more technical questions after the video. They wanted to know a little bit more, and I guess they're probably coming from people that fully understand it or mostly understand it. But yeah, we've had a lot of people just hit me up, general Sparkies that just want to lean into the automation side, but just don't know where to start and where to get information.
Yeah. What do you say to that?
So it's a hard one, because there is information, but it's not extremely available. So I've been pushing people towards the Cedia platform, because they do have some online training called IST and CIT. So it's they're just two different courses. One's more about the real basics, and one's more into what an actual technology integrator does and how to make it all work. But they're big, thick books. Yeah, so just been pushing people that way, and then just trying to answer any questions that they have on any specifics.
What's your honest answer, Bart?
My honest answer is you need to just dive in and start. But I actually, looking back, I didn't actually know that content was available, so that's why I did it that way. Now that I know that that's readily available, I probably would actually start by reading some of that and making sure that you do understand it and want to go down that path. But there literally is no better way than just starting small and building it up and doing it properly, I think.
Yeah, no, I only asked what your honest answer was because I feel like we've known each other for a long time. I feel like if I came to you, and you'd probably honestly tell me no. like it's not in my personality type to research a whole bunch of mesh and bits and pieces. I'm just not passionate about it. But you put me in front of businesses, numbers and structure in how to run a successful electrical business, I'm frothing. Everything that I read and do, I want to get better at that. So I really believe you got to, if it's not your passion, you should sort of steer away, because the way that world changes and new brands pop up, you do have to have your finger on the pulse quite dramatically. And I don't think it's just a really easy trajectory. Like just because this is interesting to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So Crow Electrical back in the day, we really had an option to delve into automation. First and foremost, I don't have the personality type, and I recognize that, which I think is a big thing. Do you have it or not? I guess if you don't have the personality type, you can employ someone who is that personality type, which is fantastic, and that's obviously achievable. But then you got to look at what point does, say, me partnering with you, and you're obviously, in my opinion, heads and shoulders above most in that world, just from sheer you, and also timing game, and also getting better, and also like genuine passion for your industry. So there's lots of things that are putting you in that realm. So at what point does me partnering with someone like you make my product look better? You know what I mean? Because if I designed a cinema room like with stuff and then compared it to your one, I'm going to look like a fool. Where I could partner with someone who knows what they're doing. So, and that's my opinion. What you got any take on that, or?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, I feel like definitely home automation is becoming more popular. Technology is getting better, and I feel like for a lot of Sparkies, it can be like that shiny ball that I have once chased and caused my own mischiefs in. So, I think firstly recognize that, are you passionate about it, or is it just a shiny ball that looks like the next little add-on to the business? And if it's not your passion, and you don't want to spend years and years of research and development, then you're probably better off just pairing up with someone like us. Doesn't have to be us, but someone like us, and just combining forces and doing a good product. So that's primarily what we do now as well, is just work with other Sparkies.
I just flashed back. I had this conversation with someone who shall remain nameless yesterday. They reached out for some business help, and that's cool. Like I love chatting to people about that. And I said, well, how's 11 a.m. Friday to catch up, which is tomorrow, right? And he's like, oh, I've got an app meeting at that point. And I was like, what's the app for? And he shared this thing that was completely sideways. So his business isn't running as good as he would like it to. And this is typical of everyone. Everyone's done this, right? Everyone's probably done or doing it. His business isn't going as well as he wants, and he's actually got quite a good team and quite a good little product happening there. And the numbers aren't hitting the boat. And he's like, I've got this app meeting. And I just said, look, is that helping, or is that a distraction? Because you can do that app meeting in 2 years when your business is cooking. But right now, I think, how much do you reckon focus comes into it, and just that raw dog, like, I don't want to get too into it because you probably can't talk about some certain things, but but the shiny object, chasing the shiny object, like the dog with the bone, like how much do you focus in and just double down? What you're doing is working. How much do you double down on it and triple down?
Yeah. Well, to say I've learned that the hard way is an understatement, but
one day we will.
We'll get into that. But I've actually always had trouble with focus to an extent. Like I've for a long time, now I'm different, but for a long time I was always like, oh, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. And then one of those let's go here's was actually automation, which that one turned out all right. But I've had a few that have been pretty bad and maybe almost sunk the ship a little bit. But I don't know, like focus. Unless you're a focused person by nature, I think you got to train yourself to focus, which I have been doing. And I've even set some little things up as an example on my phone that automatically puts my phone into do not disturb, either based on location of my house in the afternoon or at 5 o'clock, whatever happens first, and just forcing those like little things to happen. So then when I get home, my phone's just in do not disturb, and like, look, I'm still guilty of like taking it back off do not disturb, but I'm trying to get better there, and trying to block out time in the office as well now. So saying like these hours are specifically for the emails, and these hours here are going to be for the quoting, and these hours or this day is going to be for the on the business stuff, and just trying to time block a bit. Doesn't always work out perfectly, but if you can at least try, then you're going to do better.
Yeah, one of my mates, he's right into sort of he's got deep work scheduled, which I feel like, say, I feel like I'm in that zone in Sparky Coach at the moment. It's the deep work matters the most. It's like the work on the business, and you're in that business. You're in that sort of stage of business too, where that deep work on the business, creating that handover document, cinema documentation. I don't know, like insert whatever you got to do here is so incredibly important to the lifeblood of the business. Like that's product. It's affecting your product negatively or positively by having it or not having it. So yeah, I feel like my advice to everyone is if you can't get time on the business and if you draft it up sort of like a decent week that errs on your side and you can't achieve it, it's probably a hiring indicator. And if you're getting
Yeah.
stuck on all the mundane sort of email responses, or even you look at a phone situation, someone can call you and you answer every single time. It's amazing when you're starting a business, but it's probably not sustainable across the length of it. So do you have times when you just won't answer your phone? Now that's very, very easy to say from an office, because if you're growing the business and your best client calls you, you're probably going to take that call, or your wife calls you, you're probably going to take that call, or partner, or whatever you're doing at that point, or kids, if you've got older kids. So, it's incredibly easy to say, but I reckon you got to find your deep slots. I feel like timing is a big thing. Do you feel that too? Like in timing in terms of time of day for deep?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a
When,
morning
when,
person.
when is your morning? Yeah.
Yeah, I try and get up here at 6 o'clock every morning, just to get at least that first hour in as well. Like I fire in the morning and I suck in the afternoon. Like I'm like a slug by the time I get home. So yeah, mornings are definitely me. And yeah, I really enjoy that. Like I feel like sometimes I get more done in that first hour or two of the morning than the rest of the day sometimes, because by the time the phone starts ringing, the emails start flowing in, and you've got people in the office asking you questions and things like that. It's just good to have that as sort of focused hour or two and just rip into some stuff.
Yeah, and you've been separating yourself recently for that deeper work, haven't you? You've been strategically like stepping out of the office and being in a certain point. I think you got another place you can sort of be. Do you
Yeah.
find that's working for you and you can get a lot more done in that time?
Yeah, for sure. Like it's sort of failed at the moment because I've got both of my key guys in the office actually away at the same time, which was my own silly fault. But yeah, when the team's full, then yes, everything can flow a lot better, and that's primarily what I do. Is I just say, like this particular day and these particular hours, that's I just have to get these quotes done, and that's what I'm going to do. The phone rings unless it's like an emergency. I usually have like a 2 ring rule as well with the staff. So like Max, we'll get Max on Monday. Actually, it'd be funny because he hates the camera, but I used to purposely not answer his phone calls when we were a smaller company, because I knew that he would figure it out, but I knew that he was calling me because that was the path of least resistance. So sometimes I'd see it ring and I'd be like, oh, I feel so bad for him, but not answering. And then eventually I'd talk to him in the afternoon and I'd be like, oh, sorry, I missed your call. I'd be like, yeah, I was just asking about this programming question, but I ended up figuring it out. And I feel like that was some pretty hardcore training, but it worked.
Oh, I feel if you're pushing into that stage, and I feel like you're always in that stage to a certain extent. If you're still doing work, there's still work to hand over, essentially. And sometimes the only way to learn is to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've learned so much, say, from this is me talking out loud here, from the Beastmaker. Like I've learned so much about overheads and numbers, and even from closing the week, closing the month. I feel right dialed in. Like I'm not saying I can't get better, but I feel really dialed in. And
Yeah.
then Joey's just started doing a day a week with us, and I was like, I want a part of me. He's pretty switched on to the Beastmaker, like as well. I was like, part of me wants to show him everything that I know, but I only know everything that I know because I was like, because you're physically entering and learning all this stuff. And I think it's important to, when you put switched on smart people in the right spot, they will figure it out. And it's not saying never answer your phone, but I think that handover pathway is incredibly important to like watch me do it. And then, and then I'll watch you do it. And then at some point you've got to do it.
Yeah.
And you've got to back that. So do you find that as well with training the team?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So like we'll always sort of train and be there to help them, but when I know that they can figure it out or they do actually know the answer, um, I like to just let them suffer a little bit and learn that way, because that's how I learned. Like when I did it, I didn't actually have anyone to call. My only option was to figure it out. So I know it's possible to do.
It's kind of reminiscent of your child doing Lego. It's going to be a lot quicker if you do it for. We're talking. We got young kids, but both of us. But like, it's kind of that trajectory. Like, if you keep doing it for them, they'll never learn, and then they'll be 20 and unable to put a pirate ship together. It's not what you want. Hey, you touched on a couple of things. You touched on you've got Max and Dav away, which
Yeah.
is which obviously huge. I was a big advocate for. I know there's people that sit here and they say, oh, you can't take annual leave in November, December, it's our busiest time. And, oh, you can't take leave at that point because that person's going away. I was always of the opinion, it's your leave. You take it whenever you need to. I'll just work it out. It's not your fault if, Steve's on holidays when it's not, it's not desirable, but it's not the end of the world. And I feel like for us, we were always sort of busy and I didn't want to take anyone's time because some people have like I can't tell you not to go to your best friend's wedding or your sister-in-law's wedding or something because Steve's away. So you've got to work with people. But then at your point right now, you've got there's part of you probably wishing that I should have told him no, but a part of you is like, well, they're entitled to that at the same point. Where do you sit on the spectrum for that?
I'm the same as you, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Like I would never stand in the way of someone's entitled leave unless it was like mission critical. So, like Davin's wife is from the States, so they've gone to take their kid over there and do the grandparents thing over there. So I'm obviously not going to stand in the way of that. And then Max has got himself a little deal on a Japan trip and wanted to go over there with his fiance. So I'm not going to stand in the way of that either. It's just it's basically it's just preparation. So we knew we were going to have this week where it was just me all by myself. Well, Pam's here actually. She works from Mudgee mostly, but she's come down to keep me company. But yeah, we knew this week was coming, so basically we just spent the 2 weeks prior just preparing, and then the guys basically just before they left just sent me like a Google document with just where they're at with everything, what actions are critical for the week, and then I just basically read through that and just do my best. But yeah.
I've got this business owner going away checklist, which is goes away. You got like a checklist to go through. It's actually really important to be organized, I think, at that point. So hearing you talk about Google Docs just makes my heart happy. How much extra pressure has that put on you this week?
Well, I've always considered myself that someone that handles pressure pretty well. So it's just like it is what it is to me. It's just whatever. I'm just copping it from all angles. I knew this week was going to suck, but I'm not letting it get me down or get in my way. I'm just doing the best I can, and it's all good.
That's super cool. Now, home automation, the Stadia. What's going on with that? Is a course coming out or?
Yeah, so it's moving. It's moving slowly. We've got the tech summit coming up. So when we do the CD awards at the end of October, there's going to be a tech summit up there where you can sort of learn some bits and pieces about rack building and things like that. It's a bit slow on the apprentice side, but it is pushing forward. So yeah, hopefully we can get it released next year. And I think the first ones are I keep forgetting this. It's either in Melbourne or Queensland with the first tape that's going to have it as a course.
That's so cool. Will it go online or will it be in person?
It's going to be like a legitimate TAFE course. It's just the same as if you were to go to TAFE and do plumbing or electrical.
So good. I think that I can't stress to everyone how much I think that is actually needed. Obviously you feel the same as that as well.
I do, yeah, I do, because even though like it is tied in with electrical, I feel like but so is aircon, but it's going to be like that where aircon is different to electrical. Smart home integration is different to electrical. Plumbing is different to smart home integration. Like they are different trades.
Yeah, we did an interesting podcast. Sometimes members ask me questions or just people on Insta ask me, and I'm like, that's a really good podcast topic. And it was about diversification and and my take was, it's interesting to talk to even hear you talk, and I feel the same. you diversify sometimes, and it's excellent. So you went from electrical to home automation, bang, you found your little realm, maybe a couple of mistakes in there. I was the same, couple of mistakes in there as well, but you sort of finding your feet, finding your way forward. My whole thing is just because you can doesn't mean you should. So it's just not all ideas are from the trade gods, but not all ideas are not from the trade gods as well. I think that maybe the biggest thing to note is when the product drops, you don't diversify. So if you're running a hyper effective, it doesn't matter what it is, automation company or electrical company, you're specializing in solar and that, or you're specializing in whatever, like, to diversify, yeah, on one hand, I've already got the client. So if I'm aircon and want to branch into electrical or vice versa, I've kind of got my client. I might have 1,000 clients, 2,000 clients. So it's put an email marketing campaign and I might get 6 months worth of work, 2 months worth of work, 3 days worth of work just from my contacts existing. But if that's going to diminish or drop the quality of my product, or on-site product or off-site product, because I'm under pressure, or I've only got Steve who can go to that job at, and every second Wednesday when he's on aircon mode, or it's interesting. Where do you sit on that realm?
Yeah, with the whole diversifying thing. So I've listened to you talk about it a few times, and I some interesting opinions in there. Like when you say like a rural company, I guess maybe like the New Age boys, like there's less customers, I guess, in those rural areas, and that's probably where you should diversify out. But us being in the city, my main focus is actually to niche as hard as possible, and I guess we can because we're in that kind of area. So I don't know, it's a tricky one, but my focus at the moment is to purely niche down hard on smart homes only, because I reckon our product did drop on the electrical side totally, because we obviously started as general electrical, moved into automation, we were sort of hybrid there for a few years, and then now the electrical that we do will only be if it is a smart home as well. We don't do, well, we've got one at the moment actually, so I'm sort of lying, but we
No
don't
plug bases. That's got to be.
we try not to do, or we don't do moving forward, just standard electrical jobs, because we just, I don't know, like I felt like even myself, I'd be like, oh, we got this job, but I don't really care about it that much, to be honest, because it's not a thing. And yeah, that sucks for the client. That sucks for the guys that work for us who, we do like smart home stuff. So I do strongly believe that you probably should only diversify out if you can, sort of cover all bases.
Yeah, I love it. It's so interesting, the rural versus city dynamic, because obviously, in the coaching space for us, our market is Australia and New Zealand. So our market's actually quite broad. But when you're selling a product that essentially is within an hour of your house, most people you only can go where you drive to. You're running like a bricks and mortar business. Automation, you're a bit more obviously, but electrically, you got to have your pliers and a hammer drill. So you're usually going within an hour of your house, unless you're traveling. But even still, that client's probably from within an hour of your house originally. And a lot of people can't go east because of the water, or west because of the water, or west because of the mountains. So you really like boxed into a certain mode. So it just puts so much emphasis on quality of product for retention of clients. The retention of clients is so important. And I feel like this is really interesting for me to talk about. I've never actually been able to verbalize this on a podcast, but one thing you see a lot of people do is the coaching companies. I could go out and hustle however hard I want. I could employ 4 salespeople they could call Sparkies all day, every day. We could hustle. We'd probably find some people. It's not my style, but we'd probably find some people. And that's cool because my market is Australia and NZ. But when you're applying that same hustle philosophy and you can only go within an hour of your house or an hour and a half of your house consistently, or your workshop, you're going to cause some serious issues. You're going to burn bridges. You're going to upset people. You're going to grow too quick and your product will drop. And, I think that's incredibly important to note. Like if you can only sell within an hour of your house, you better make sure it's a really good product.
For sure. Because bad word gets around a lot quicker than a good word does. That's for sure.
100%. And I've got a Willman shirt on. Shout out to Dave. He came into your office the other day. What did you guys talk about?
Yeah. We so he actually brought a client in firstly, potential smart home client. So I've just flicked him off a quote actually yesterday. So hopefully Dave and I get to collab on a job. That'd be pretty cool.
Amazing.
And then after that, we just sort of hung out, and he wanted me to give him a showroom tour, so I gave him one with the drone, just to sort of mix it up, do something a bit different. And then we just sort of went downstairs, and I showed him where we build all the boards and sort of the process, how materials come in, and then they go to the board building section, and then they go to the pre-programming section, and then they go to the outgoing job section, and they go out the door. So just talking through how all that works, and
so interesting. Hey, it's like seeing that would probably make him just want to use you more. I haven't spoken about that, but I'm saying, like, when you see someone operating in their comfort zone, in their gifting, you might even say, and their business is cooking, like, I just reckon it just makes you want to partner with them and do some cool stuff. So that's awesome.
He's a top guy, legend. First time I've met him, so yeah.
Total legend, man. I hadn't met him until the podcast, and
oh yeah,
great guy. Yeah, great guy. Lovely wife too. Okay, sweet. So coming into what are you excited about in the future for Ryelec?
What am I excited about? Like in the business?
Yeah. Or in and on. Let's go in and then let's go on. Yeah.
In and on. So in would definitely just be, I feel like, just the quality of our projects that we've got coming up. They just seem to be getting bigger and better. Just, I don't know, we just must be getting our foot in the door to some better jobs. So we've got some really cool ones coming up. There's one up on the Central Coast for a wealthy client's holiday property, and I've actually spent the morning today going through. He's got a float, so float tanks. So you go to, like, you can go and float in the tank and whatever. I've never done one before, but apparently they're pretty cool. He's building a float tank room next to his sauna, and in the float tank room, he wants RGB lighting that dances or does effects to the music. So I've gone down a little journey at the moment where we're getting DMX controlled LED strip, which means every three of the chips on the LED strip can be independently controlled and colored and faded and all that kind of stuff. And then we're putting it into this little music server that, like, listens to the music and then controls the lights. It's going to be insane.
That's so good. I'm assuming that's Avoca or North Avoca or something like that? It's pretty sought after.
King Cumber. So near.
Cool. Yeah. That Avoca stretch is real special when it's right on the beach and you're just flowing out there. That's amazing. So that's cool. And it's interesting to talk about because, Sydney, for me, I've been out of Sydney for 5 years now, but obviously I've lived in Sydney. I'm 41, 42. I don't even know how old I am, 41, something like that. I think I'm 41. Yeah, 41. Yeah. I'll check my spreadsheet. So it's interesting because Sydney's just getting wealthier and expanding. Back when growing up in Cronulla, it's an incredibly different suburb to what it was now. So the high-end homes are only getting higher end and more of them. So that was always interesting to me because I think the city just pushes. Sydney is interesting. It can't push east because of the water. It can't push west because of the mountains. It can't push north because of National Park or south because of National Park. So it's literally a box. And that box is just getting more and more money in it. But basically, and whether you like it or not, that's exactly what's happening. So if you have an option to buy Sydney real estate, it's always a good time. And you must be seeing, like, so what I'm trying to get at, when I was first starting out, to go to the high end homes, you go onto Bellevue Hill, like sort of Watson's Bay and Bondi, all that kind of stuff. Even Bondi was questionable, like back then. Completely different suburb now, Tamarama and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's just blowing out. So those houses get more expensive, but then Cronulla gets way more expensive. Maroubra blows out of the water. Thurrool blows out of the water. Helensburgh, it just blows everything out. I mean, the reality for you doing high-end home automation is just going to keep moving north and north and north.
Yep, and south. So
Yeah,
we obviously had a lot of jobs in the eastern suburbs. We always will, but yeah, we're actually starting to see a few pop up in the Shire, which we've done a few random ones in the past, but nothing Bellevue Hill level. But we've got one job at the moment that we're starting that is Bellevue Hill level in the Shire. There's one that we're going to be doing. We're not doing the whole system on this other house, but we're just doing all the geothermal HVAC that we do for CWL Group. But that is just this amazing, huge house. Like they've bought two blocks next to each other, right at the end of Burrania Bay Road, just massive mansion getting built. So it's heading down this way, which is nice because it means I think I only have to drive 20 minutes instead of an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's so good. That area is real special. Like when you're in the bays of the Southern Shire, like west facing with sunsets and stuff like that, or north facing. There's only so many north facing ones, isn't there? I think there's like 40 proper north facing.
Proper north, yeah. We did it. We did one over in Main Bar in the national park actually for a really high-end client, and that was directly north facing, straight over the water, and it was such a good spot.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I meant 40 on on not saying, but Bundy is on the Shire, like 40 on like the north side, not the Bundo. Main Bar Bundy is all north facing, right? It's insane. Like that, those views and everything are incredible. So okay, so on the business, you're frothing about that, belting into more cinema mode. I guess doubling down your offering. Where else do you see your offering heading to in the automation space? Is it like obviously like where can you get better or expand?
So what I'm concentrating on at the moment is, which I'm only really just starting, is our internal processes of like the life of a project. So we've got things in place already that I've built out, which were the biggest pain points, such as that handover documents thing and capturing the information on a job. But I've always wanted to have like a not too detailed that it's too hard to do, but like just a checklist of everything. So from start to finish, the checklist for insight, like in the factory when we pre-build something, and then another one when we pre-program it all. Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? Ticket, links to files, like all this kind of stuff. Pretty much just a full SOP of what we do, which is just a top to bottom checklist. And then when it gets to the end of the project, I can then check that spreadsheet or document or whatever it may be, and can see that they've done everything, see that they've entered stuff in, and just that. I think we need to get that done and built before we can scale any bigger or further, because if like we're going good, and our projects always are great by the end of them, but I think to make the product consistent and to be able to add people to the team and make sure that they make the product consistent, we need to have something like that in place.
It's so critical, isn't it? That SOPs, like if you don't know what SOP is, standard operating procedure, basically is script to run through. Like you could compare it to a roughing checklist, and I think you just start where you're starting. If you're doing a lot of board upgrades or kitchen renovations, just have a checklist. That's all it is. It's a checklist that needs to be ticked off, and at the checklist point, you can watch what's happening. It's the business getting out of your head, or that process getting out of your head onto a document that is repeatable. And the best thing about a document that's repeatable is it's omnipresent, where if you don't have an omnipresent SOP or checklist, you've got to be fully present. You can be in one spot at a time. You are not the trade gods, but coming into an SOP, that can be across multiple parties at multiple times at any time of the day. It's always botherable. You know what I mean? It's never like, so that's really interesting to flesh out. I love that stuff, getting real scripted.
I've already seen it work a little bit on, so you know how we use Ground Plan and Fergus for quoting and all that kind of stuff.
I saw you on an ad the other day.
Oh, did you?
I'm not. It was an ad. I don't know, like from Ground Plan, maybe.
They look good. Yeah.
You look sexy. Yeah, I was frothing. I was like, I know that guy. He's my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I obviously built that whole thing myself, like that whole process and procedure and integration, between the two. And I wanted to obviously be able to get other people to help me do it. Like I didn't want to build it out and then, it's all for me sort of thing. The whole point is to be able to get other people to help. So I've used a system, Scribe, where I basically just screen capture everything that I do. And I've just built these little documents out as just like start to finish, like setting up a job, cleaning up the plans and making them grey is another one. How to sort of do all the title blocks around the edges and, all that kind of stuff. And I've passed that on to Dav in the office, and I've passed that on to just recently Ash, who's looking for a bit of extra stuff to do. And it's essentially just gotten my brain and put it into a piece of paper or a document, and they can just follow it. And then any questions that come up when I'm like, that wasn't clear in the document, I can just edit it and update it. And it is painful creating them, don't get me wrong, but once they're done, it's great.
Well, it's painful, and it's kind of like a living and breathing document in a way, because there's going to be mistakes, but there's going to be false interpretations within reason. And I think that's what makes a company so special. And it's repeatable but not repeatable because there's, you got to know who built the process kind of thing.
Yeah.
The person who built the process has to still sort of like be in there controlling it in a way, which is cool.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you as well about Instagram because I saw some post the other day about what happened? It was someone posting something about don't make your content for Sparkies. So electrical person talking about don't make your content for Sparkies, make it for your ideal clients. Well,
Mhm.
I feel that's wrong. Like I feel like this is my take. I feel that when you're not saying you on Instagram, but anyone on Instagram, especially with a decent following, the more you're putting up like your kind of work,
Yeah.
when you put up a hiring ad, you're now going out to 5,000, 10,000. You've got a platform for that ad. So as much as, I don't know how much, like if you're just showcasing your work, yes, 100%. Your ideal client should be able to come past and see what you do and hopefully, get confidence or see competence and all this kind of stuff and be like, yes, I'll work with those people. Good enough for those 4 jobs or 10 jobs, good enough for me. So it's important to post what you do. The other most underrated factor is you're building relationships with other electricians or aircon people or whatever in your industry. So when you put out a job ad, it's like, oh, I've seen what those people do. I've seen Tom face the camera a few times. I like Tom. He seems decent. I'd like to work there. I'm crossing it. I think that's so underrated.
For sure.
What do you think?
It's so funny you say that. Hey, I love all of the stuff that we put on there about jobs and things like that. We've spent thousands of dollars on professional videos, and the recent ones that I've done, and this is probably half the credit probably does go to Dave Willman because he sort of liked and shared, and what his follower base is like. But I just did that video of me just basically running through like a particular component on a KNX panel and what it does and how it works, and then just like a little bit of how to program it and stuff. And like that got to like 10,000 plus. It's over like 10,000 views now on a reel. By far the most that we've ever gotten. And it was just such a simple little video that I just smacked together in the factory, and then we spent thousands and thousands of dollars on full like proper videos and stuff, and they did well. But I think you need a mixture of both, to be honest. Like I think it's really good for the engagement to do like the face-to-face educational type stuff, and then it's good to also have like some professional stuff and big projects as well to sort of show that credibility of what you can do.
Oh, 100%. I do think you need a mixture of both. I do think you can overthink your content, and if you overthink something, you never put anything out.
Yeah.
I put a video up yesterday. Leah Willman sent me some merch, and I just filmed like my chicken soup on the stove and the merch because me and Jasper opened it, and I was like, a part of me was, do I film it again? Like just getting super insecure, and then I just posted it, and it's just funny because it's like I think that stuff's important just to not overthink and post, and that I think the rawness of some stuff builds so much trust. It's not perfect, it's not polished, it's life, but you can get a real good feel for someone's personality when it's not chopped out. But then also the polished stuff for your clients. Like your clients have to come on and be able to see 3 pinned messages of what you're about. And that might be high-end homes or something like that. But then coming into also on that side, don't underestimate the clients. You might have an awesome product, but the client's still got to deal with the company. And if they're seeing some videos and it's just like, oh yeah, I reckon, like how long do you reckon? I've actually sort of read some stuff about this. Within the first sort of 1 to 5 seconds, you're picking up if you like someone or not. And we had a session on my friend Linton came in and did a session on, I don't remember, it was on like leadership or something for us, and it was talking about how important your sort of communication is, and it was like how much do you reckon words are or body language and then tone. And it was so interesting because the most critical one was like 70%. The most important thing was body language. And you would think like, what if I raise my voice, and what if I move my hands, and what if I change my tone, or all this kind of stuff. And it was like, people will get a feel from how you're positioned, how you're like, they'll just get a feel. And I think you can feel authenticity, and you can feel competence, and you can feel confidence And I think that's something that's so non-tangible, but so tangible at the same time. But yeah, what your Instagram, how's it going? How's your hiring process going? What's the latest?
Hiring, not good. It's so hard to find.
Yeah.
Like we've been looking for a program for ages, and it's like, it's a hard one because it's like heaps of people are interested from a Sparky point of view, but they don't have any experience, which is cool. But then on the flip side, we've put some stuff on Seek, and then the only people we get back are like legit software, like uni trained software engineers, and then they get disappointed when I tell them that we're not actually making software, we're just using software. So there's like, it's really hard. There's not this like middle section yet, but hopefully when this TAFE course comes through and students start coming through and learning this specifically, then that'll get easier. But at the moment, it's very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough market for hiring, isn't it? And I think like you don't know where your hire is going to come from. I've seen people put Seek ads out, and I don't hear that many good things about Seek, to be honest. But
No.
a couple of times, I think when you're in a town where people may move to,
Yeah.
that's when Seek is important. Like if you lived in Cairns and you're a holiday destination, or like Byron Bay, or I don't know, insert your holiday destination here. Yes, people are going to sea change, tree change, whatever, in and out of there. That's important. But for a city, I don't know how much value is in that. But I hear good things about sponsored Instagram posts. Just like, I think it's just about, you don't know where your next hire is going to come from, but you don't want to die wondering. You just got to put as much content out as you can, make as many phone calls as you can to the wholesaler, touch base with the staff members again and again. Just do everything you can to make sure you can put your head on the pillow and be like, didn't succeed, but tried hard. That's important. It's fine.
Well, we're basically gonna try. So one of our guys, Drew, he's already competent in KNX and things like that, but he's very hybrid in between electrical work and install and programming. So I've had a chat with him, and he might be keen to sort of step up more on the programming side. But he really enjoys doing all the CWL plant rooms as well. So he'll still be involved in that. So, but I think we definitely at some stage we're going to need like another dedicated programmer. So if you know anyone, Craig, let me know.
I would come on board, but my hands are tied. You don't want me as a programmer, I don't reckon. So it would be...
You can do a mad spreadsheet for me, but
yeah. That's it. That's my limit is that. Okay, sweet. So if you know anyone, reach out to Tommy, because that's I think it's a great job, and it's also a great career moving into that realm. Amazing. So huge.
Definitely a growing market for sure. So it's definitely not the wrong move career-wise.
Yeah, as it becomes more, it's just more available, isn't it, to more people, really?
Yeah, so it is becoming, yes, definitely.
Huge. And anything else on your mind? If you're wrapping up, what's your one take on everyone? Or is there anything you missed that we covered that you want
to? Not really at the moment. I think everything's going pretty good. I'm just gonna have to learn to manage my time and life a lot better, just with people away. And then I've also just kicked myself into a house build as well, so that's going to take up a lot of time. And of course, I went own a builder too, because I've got all that extra time on my hands. So yeah, I think watch this space. There's going to be some serious life lessons learned for me in the next year, I reckon, about time management and things like that. So maybe we could
that's exciting. And if you had one opportunity to bless the people out of the pod, what would you say?
Oh man, I always suck at this one. I should have thought of something
prepared by now, man. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
One shot, one opportunity. I'm gonna let it slip, aren't I? I don't know what to say. What would you say?
I would say no numbers or die trying.
Yeah, that's a good one. Can I say that now?
You can say that. Yeah.
So yeah, my one is no numbers or die trying.
I feel like everything falls from the top of the pyramid scheme, which is numbers. They'll show you what's working, what's not working, what avenues to pursue, what staff to double down on, what staff to get, move on from, what clients double down on, what clients move on from. Everything comes from the top of the pyramid scheme. If it ain't profitable, send it back. I should rephrase that. If it ain't profitable or on a pathway to be profitable, like you're putting in all this extra time and it's going to heed a result, you might want to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah,
it's my sign off. So next time I'm expecting some big things on the sign off. So
I'm gonna start planning it out now for 6 months' time.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Tommy. Hang out. We'll see you soon. Peace. That's a wrap on another podcast. Whatever you're doing, don't be too busy to stop and check if you're making money. And above all else, you know the rules. Be kind. See you soon.